But first, Ukrainian officials are warning tonight of an increased Russian offensive come Monday, known as Victory Day in Russia. That's happening against the backdrop of reports that U.S. intelligence is playing a major role in Ukraine's successes so far. Specifically, that U.S. intelligence is helping Ukraine target and kill Russian generals, and that it helped them sink Russia's most significant warship in the Black Sea. Victoria Nuland is the U.S. Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs. Hi, Undersecretary of State Nuland. Good to meet you and good to have you on our program this evening.
Good to be with you, Vashi.
I know the Pentagon is saying that the United States did not provide Ukraine with specific targeting information for the Moskva, but are you concerned that that might be immaterial to Vladimir Putin, that if U.S. intelligence is what enabled the Ukrainians to target that ship, that it's a massive embarrassment for him and that he'll be inflamed regardless?
Well, first, let me just say, with regard to U.S. intelligence support to Ukraine, we provide a range of intelligence to the Ukrainians to help them understand the threat that they face from Russia. I don't think it's helpful to get into the specifics, but I think it already was a massive embarrassment for Vladimir Putin that he lost the Moskva, the pride of the Russian Black Sea Fleet, and it's a great testament to the Ukrainians that they were able to impose that cost on Putin and on his military for this vicious war.
Does Putin's possible reaction to this, and then combined with the reporting earlier from the New York Times around intelligence that helped Ukrainians target and kill Russian generals, does his potential reaction in any way, would it inform the future intelligence sharing relationship between the U.S. and Ukraine, or would it change the U.S.'s posture where intelligence is concerned at all?
Look, I think we and our close allies are committed to helping the Ukrainians with intelligence, with weapons, with security support to fight back against this brutal aggression that Putin has inflicted on Ukraine. You know, he picked this fight. He went to war in Ukraine. And if that means that he is losing high-ranking military officers, that's a direct result of the decisions that he made. And the Russian military needs to take that into account.
Am I wrong to interpret that as the U.S. will continue to share intelligence in the fashion that it has for the last 2 months?
Vashi, we don't have any intention of changing posture. The Ukrainians deserve our support. They deserve Canada's support, and we're going to continue to give it.
On sort of the collective support of the U.S. and Canada where Ukraine is concerned, we had the top soldier of this country here a few days ago, the Chief of Defense Staff, and he spoke with his counterpart in the United States, and he told us that's sort of where the decision around howitzers came to be, that Canada could help out by sending some howitzers as well. I'm wondering if there are some specific discussions you could refer to or you could inform our audience about, and if there is the potential for the supply of more weapons, like if the United States assumes Canada will be supplying more weapons to Ukraine as well.
Well, obviously, Canada makes its own sovereign decisions about how it wants to support Ukraine, but I would just say that from a U.S. perspective, we've been enormously gratified by how strongly Canada has stepped up in all domains, in security support for Ukraine, in economic support for Ukraine, in humanitarian support for Ukraine. You have a strong understanding of this country. You have a huge number of loyal and patriotic Canadian Ukrainians as part of your society. So that, I think, has been important. What I would say is that for the U.S., for Canada, when this war changed, when Putin was beaten back out of Kyiv and out of those neighborhoods in the north of Ukraine and had to regroup and come in from the east instead, the war changes and the weapons that Ukraine needs changed, including the requirement for long-range fires, including the kinds of things that howitzers bring to the battlefield, that MLRS systems bring to the battlefield. So what the Ukrainians were asking for, what the U.S. was wanting to give, and what Canada had in its stocks and was able to give changed, and that's been very, very important in this latest phase of the war to help the Ukrainians hold off the Russian onslaught from the east.
Is there an expectation from your administration that Canada supply more military aid going forward?
Again, Canada has already been spectacular in the security support that it's provided to Ukraine. I know the Ukrainians appreciate it. We, as strong allies, strong supporters, G7 countries together, NATO countries together, need collectively to continue to respond to what Ukraine needs on the battlefield, and we have every confidence that we'll be together on that as we see how this war progresses and as we see what the Ukrainians need.
Speaking of the war progressing, I'm wondering if you expect Putin to make a declaration of war against Ukraine on Monday, of course known as Victory Day in Russia.
I have to say, I don't know what a declaration of war changes. He is throwing everything that he has at this poor, innocent neighbor country, which did nothing to him. So, you know, if it makes him feel better at home to declare war, so be it. But as far as Ukraine is concerned, and as far as we are concerned in supporting Ukraine, Putin is already behaving as if he has declared war on Ukraine. And we see it not just in what his soldiers are doing, but in the horrific atrocities that Russian soldiers are committing, whether it's in Bucha or Mariupol or Kramatorsk, etc. So if this is not war, I'm not sure what is.
Part of our allies' response and the West's response, of course, to Putin's actions so far has included a number of sanctions. The U.S. and Canada are banning Russian oil, for example, as European countries, as we speak, make the decision about whether or not to put forth an embargo. As far as supplanting the supply in your administration's case, I have read that there were conversations with Venezuela and with Saudi Arabia. Are there conversations between your administration and the government here about Canada being the country to supplant that supply?
Well, we've obviously talked to Canada and to all of our allied nations and partner nations who produce oil and produce gas to do what they can to increase supply to meet the global demand. We're trying to do that at home. Canada's trying to do that. I was just down in Brazil, which increased its own supply of oil production by some 10% to try to meet global demand. This is about ensuring that we minimize the impact that this war is having on the rest of the global economy and getting more supply out. So we're grateful for what Canada has already done and encouraging that they and we and everybody else continue to do as much as we can.
There's a bit of a cap right now on the amount of oil that Canada can increase its production by about 200,000 barrels a day. And the bigger impediment to getting more oil to your country is really a lack of means to get it there. Does your administration, in that context, regret its decision over Keystone?
Well, you know, Keystone has been difficult between us all the way along. I don't think relitigating it here is going to be productive. I think we need to look at where we are, the U.S., Canada, other allies, countries like Norway, countries like UK, Brazil, et cetera, and do what we can to increase supply, and we are doing that together.
I totally take your point on relitigating it, and I'm certainly not asking you to do that. I think what I guess I'm asking, though, more specifically is if it's something your administration looking forward then would revisit, because there are, you know, would you rather get more oil from this country, or would you rather go to Venezuela and Saudi Arabia?
You know, there are a number of complexities around Keystone. There are also a number of ways that we can work together to get more oil to market. So I hope that we will work on all of those and not just focus on one direction.
Okay, just quickly, I interpret that as a no to revisiting Keystone. Am I accurate?
Again, Vashi, I don't have anything new to give you on that one right now.
Okay, Undersecretary of State Nuland, I appreciate your time very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.